I grew up with such a commitment to the Constitution, to the First Amendment, Bill of Rights. These were things not taken for granted. These were literally life-saving mechanisms. They had transformed a life lived at the whim of another who was inscrutable. Another power could literally take your life or the life of one of your loved ones in an instant. I went back to, I took my firstborn son, and he and I went to Belarus. Did I tell you the story? So I speak so many places, I forget what I just told. So sometimes I see people's eyes rolling and they think, uh-oh, I told this story. So I went to Belarus with my son, and we went to the Shtetls, where my great-grandparents' grandfather came from. I was looking for family members, and I met a man who's had the same name as one branch of our family, Levin, from that same area. So I met him, he invited me to his home. He was a physicist, a scientist. He had taught himself English and spoke very well. He had us to his home for dinner, where he lived with his aged mother. She did not speak any English at all. She spoke Russian, Yiddish, like my great-grandparents did. I remember my great-grandmother, she didn't speak any English. She had one phrase that she would say, it will come good. She would say, it will come good. But other than that, it was Russian and Yiddish. So she was sitting at the end of the table. There was one single light bulb in the whole room, just hanging from the ceiling. Little bits of canned meat. These very meager lives, very meager lives. And so we had our meal. And after our meal, I said to him, Mark, I said, if you don't mind my asking, you're quite young, your mother's quite aged, I said, did your parents meet after the war? He said, no. He said, when the Nazis, he said, I had 4 siblings. When the Nazis came, they took all the Jewish children, buried them alive, and forced my parents to watch. We never speak of this. We never speak of this. This vigilance that I grew up with, this sense of moral commitment, the phrase in Judaism, never again, sadly has been overwritten too many times since then in the world. But there was a vigilance that this kind of reversion to a barbaric prejudice, hatred, and genocide can happen by surprise. It isn't something that is necessarily noticed until it's too late. I was sitting in an airport. I was sitting in Frankfurt Airport in Germany one time. I was by myself. I was traveling alone, and so I was just sitting by myself. And a conversation was taking place immediately behind me. You know how the seats go opposite to each other, so you're practically leaning into someone else's conversation. And I hear these voices. They're American. Well, what do you know? The young voices, young female voices are American. And I detect from listening to the conversation that these are at least relations, if not sisters. They're probably sisters, maybe cousins. And there's a very mature woman who's with them, talking with them. I can't see them. I can only hear them because I can't turn around and stare. tip them off that I'm eavesdropping. And I listened to the whole conversation, but in the conversation, a young voice said, when didn't you know this, and why didn't you leave? And the mature voice responded and said, oh, honey, in a thick accent. We didn't know. We didn't know. We didn't believe it. We said, no, it couldn't be. And she said, then when they came and we were told it was too late then. It was too late to leave. This kind of thing can happen without forewarning. And that's why there has to be vigilance. Now that doesn't mean that, we don't have to build bomb shelters and we don't have to be paranoid, but vigilant. So that we respond and not be too afraid to overreact initially, because we can always pull back. The trouble is not saying or doing anything until it's too late to leave. We think of this in the context of the abortion holocaust. The people that I know who were, I was not an adult in 1973, so I wasn't engaged. And I don't even remember Roe versus Wade. In other words, I don't remember it being an issue. It just happened, and there it was. And nobody saw the magnitude of it, or at least not in my circles, and I don't think many people did see the magnitude of it. The founders of the March for Life did. But even then, that was a minuscule number of people in relation to the population, even to the number of people who work on Capitol Hill. It's a tiny amount of people. But that vigilance launched a pro-life movement that's sustained today and is taken very seriously, is not just written off as a goofy aberration. It's taken very, very seriously, as we can see even now as the debate begins over the Supreme Court nominees. So vigilance is critical when it comes to maintaining justice within society. Coming back to Esther, taking into consideration the times and the conditions. Remember, we said that we can't hold previous societies to our standards and our knowledge and okay? But nevertheless, the rudimentary aspects of human rights were to be accorded by the empire, the emperor. Sure.
I was thinking about it. The proclamation to destroy all the Jews, they tried to justify it by saying they were a threat to their tranquility and peace.
Yes.
Was that for real, or were they just using that as an excuse?
Yeah, no, there was no record of that at all. First of all, they were brought to Persia as captives.
Did it have anything to do with this one God thing, or?
No, what it had to do with was the obstinacy of Mordecai. First, he would not do obeisance to Haman. We read it here where he wouldn't give worship, but that's actually coming a little bit later. A little earlier on, we skipped over that. A little earlier on, he would not bow in honor. Now, he was not doing that because he disrespected the government. In fact, he was a civil servant and one with an impeccable record. but he could not, as a Jew, he could not gesture in a way that was reserved for God.
Do we know other Jews now?
Yes, in fact, there's a little bit of a controversy in the story where that occurs. There are some who do give in, but he could not. His conscience would not let him do that. Would not let him give obeisance to this otherwise legitimate official, but he couldn't. But he couldn't compromise his conscience because that gesture only belonged to God. Imagine if we were invited to a reception with the mayor, and we were instructed ahead of time. You know the thing Catholics do in church. You know when you bow your knee like that, you do that when you greet the mayor. That would be a good thing to do. That would be a nice thing to do. When you greet the mayor, just genuflect to it the way that you do in church. What would we do? Yes, you have to put yourself into that mindset, because you know, if I have to kneel on my right knee to start the pilot light in my whatever water heater, I don't think, oh, I can't do that. That belongs to the tabernacle, to the Lord. You know, I just do it. But when someone says, give to another the same gesture, and this is how it comes to, it now becomes a violation of his conscience, because he reserves that gesture to God alone. And he's not.
What if his life is threatened on top of it? How might we?
Of course, and that always is a test. I don't mean a test that you pass or fail. It's a test, a trial. So, what can I relate it to? Because
Why didn't he just go Mordecai for a hero? He didn't do it. Why did he serve?
well, first of all, because Haman didn't have that power. You know, there was a protocol to obtain it, and he goes through the pains to do that in the story. He goes through the pains of obtaining the proper delegated authority to do this, because it would be disrespectful to the emperor, and then he'd be in hot water. But he didn't have that power at the beginning. He had to obtain it.
What about the money that he paid? You know, Haman said he would give him the money, also if he made that promise, right? So it was a bribe?
Yes, it was corruption, you know, which almost always goes hand in hand with this kind of, you know, again, we can't put today's standards on that. One of the ways in which graft was kind of a part of the way things operated, you know, even today. We were trying to get some medical equipment into Mexico one time, and they said, oh no, you need these forms, and you have to have them, and you have to have the thing, and you have to. So I leave the truck in Mexico, and I walk across the bridge, the border, and I walk into the town, you know, trying to raid, I can't remember, but anyway, I went into town, had to walk around all afternoon, finally found a, what do you call it, notary, and, you know, got the stuff notarized, and finally came back hours later. I'm dehydrated, I'm overheated, you know, and the man says, why didn't you do that? For $25, I would have stamped it, you go. He laughed at
so if someone had a cause, that they could go to the king and say, I have this cause, and I also have this money.
Sure. It didn't hurt,
Okay.
you know, it would grease the skids. And this kind of bribery, or this kind of corruption takes place at many layers, and was actually part of the Nazi system. When you read some of the heroics that took place, the Ger Toshav, the Gentiles, and the righteous Gentiles who saved Jews. By the way, if you go to the Moth radio hour, have you ever listened to Moth? The stories.